gonna talk about things that affect moms in general. The mommy entrepreneurs, we are the moms that handle business, and that means a lot. Remember, Entrepremommies.
Hello and welcome to Entrepremommies. I am Tiffy, the Resellqueen.
And I'm Nicole Flamer. How you doing?
So, Nikki, it's been a full week. So,
Yes.
How are you feeling and how are you doing?
Well, I just came from the dentist, so if I sound a little garbled, that's why. So be a little bit of a struggle, but let's see. This week has been good. I have started preparing for spring and Mother's Day, picking out products for the store. I've been thinking about starting another store, but I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of a different type of product to sell. So I'm kind of like researching that part and just straightening up my office as per usual. One day I will return to do the show in my office once I get some of this stuff out of the way. It's horrible. Yeah,
it always looks like my office.
Yeah. Mine's like that, but like there's like a little pathway to walk around, and that's it. That's like the only empty space. So so things are good. Life is good. Waiting for spring. I'm a gardener, so I can't wait to get my hands in the dirt. I got seeds. I'm gonna start some seeds on the inside and indoors, and hopefully, they'll live. Let's see what else. That's it. That's my life in a nutshell. Raising kids and
I feel
being mom. Yeah.
So. It's been a regular week. We, as you personally know, we are looked on the house hunt. So that is, it's always fun, especially when it's a seller's market.
Yes.
That's our biggest thing right now, looking for that. So that's kind of why this room is in such disarray, because I don't want to find something and then rush to pack. So I'm kind of in my not packing yet, but I'm getting rid of unnecessary things.
Yeah.
I've gone through lots of unnecessary things and I'm like, why am I keeping this?
Mm-hmm.
Going through that, does it give me joy?
Yes.
Do I really need this?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. Throw it out. Or it goes into, if it's in real good condition, considering what it is, it might get sold.
Right.
So that's kind of where I am with that. The kids are doing, regular, pretty good. Little one, you know how it is with them. So, but I think we're having a much better week than those in Ukraine.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Because it's a full-fledged war going on over there.
Yes. Yeah. I can't imagine. I don't think we've ever gone through anything like that here, where your home becomes a war zone. I can imagine. My heart goes out to those people. Yeah.
It really does. I couldn't imagine a ground assault ever happening in the United States. First of all, we have the right to bear arms around here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just pop up in some random United States town,
right,
and say, I declare this land now belongs to such and such country.
Canada.
Good luck.
Right.
Yeah. Good luck.
Neighbors.
Yeah, good luck. You cannot do that around these parts, because out here we have the right to bear arms. These people, the men that are staying behind, they are going to places to get their guns.
Yeah.
That are government issued guns to help fight of the ground attack. And I think I'll put it this way. if you want really good reporting on that, we are not the place for it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're gonna talk about, what we see and how we feel, but also why it's important business wise, to know what's going on, because right now FedEx and UPS, they have stopped shipping to Russia and Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have, an internet business that ships anywhere, you ain't selling nothing in either one of those places.
Right.
You can't get anything there. Second, they took Russia out of SWIFT. Mm-hmm. So this isn't just affecting the Ukrainian people. I mean, don't get me wrong. They are going through some stuff right now. But if you just a regular Russian citizen living your everyday life and you like, oh, what's he doing? I'm just trying to go to work and feed my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now your Visa and MasterCard ain't going to work.
Right. Yeah.
Not because you did anything, Mm-hmm. So there's so much happening at this point in time over there. Looks like we are getting spam messages, so we're gonna leave them people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We're getting spam? Yeah.
We're getting spam messages. That's how you know we've made it.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, I put them in a timeout.
Yay. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, for your spam. I'm like, is someone
Thanks
really
for the listen
already? But they are, especially like I was watching a report, and a reporter, they were in the streets of Russia.
Yeah.
And you can tell for the most part, most people, they weren't really trying to talk about if they agree or disagree.
Okay.
Because, over there, it's a little different,
yes.
Like I've said many times before, on these airways, I could say, oh, I'm not happy with the president.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen to me.
Right.
Now, if I say I want something to happen and I try to incite something, that's a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But I can display my unhappiness with government officials at any time, because that's what we fight for. Okay. But over there, it ain't really the same. So, right. However, because of what was happening, with Visa and MasterCard shutting down access to Russia, people were rushing to the ATM.
Yeah.
Well, ATMs are not getting filled up with money. They're empty. And they caught up with this one guy, and he was like, and the reporter was like, were you able to get any money out? And he was like, no. He was like, how you feel about that? And he was like, you know how I feel. I was like, whoa. Like,
too cool, right?
Yeah, he was like, you know how I feel. Yeah. I can't sit here and say it, but you know how I feel.
Right. Yeah.
So it's with all the sanctions and embargoes and whatnot, it's affecting both sides, Russia and Ukraine. I mean, if let's say like something happened, like what, before the pandemic, you went to Costa Rica, right? Is that right? All right. Okay.
Costa Rica,
yeah. So let's say that U.S. just decided we're going to invade Canada, and we're going to do a ground assault. And because of that, NATO and everyone else, they're like, look, United States, y'all can't do this. We are going to put y'all on a no-fly zone, and we are shutting down your access to money and banks. Meanwhile, you in Costa Rica having a good time. Okay, you having no part of this.
Right.
But because of it, you might be stuck.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. Russian citizens are stuck if they are abroad. They can't get home.
Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't in the boardroom when Putin said, this is what we're doing.
Right.
But it affects them. So there were some peace talks, but they really amounted to nothing, because as they were doing the peace talks, Russia was blowing stuff up. Yeah. So, I don't know how you can have peace talks while you're still doing that. And right before we came on, I saw something that said Russia has told people they blasted sirens in some particular area of Ukraine, and they were like, if you're in your home, you should leave because we're coming.
Oh my goodness.
And that sort of, sort of like those leaflets like that we put down during Hiroshima, telling people we get ready to do some stuff, so that I don't know how I would even live through that. Just watching images on TV, as I said before, if you want excellent reporting on that, go watch CNN, Fox News, whatever your local station, anywhere you get your news from. We're just talking about our reactions. That we are not a valuable source.
I think like most Americans, or a good part of the American public, kind of living in my own bubble when it comes to this. And it's like, when the war first started, it's like, Russia and Ukraine are at war. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm so far removed from what's happening in the world outside of like COVID and, our own stuff that's happening domestically. So it's a sad situation. And it's, I saw that certain celebrities were posting different things, and I didn't know what they were talking about until I got a news flash, and I'm like, oh, okay. So this is what's happening now. And I think sometimes we forget in the United States that we are very blessed to kind of live in the democracy. I mean, for all the problems that we complain about, from Trump to Biden to any of that stuff, I mean, we are very blessed. And that's the thing to remember. And not even in like a braggy sort of way, but in a safety sort of way, that for the most part, we don't have to worry about our families like that. I mean, I think COVID, they're back. The people are back. Yeah.
Oh,
I think COVID brought home certain things about safety and security, and being at another country that's so far away from us. I mean, it's something you should think about. I'm not a fear monger in the sense of like, build your underground silo, start collecting your canned goods and stuff like that. But there are a couple of things that you can do to prepare yourself, prepare your business, prepare your family, or at least even just think about these issues, because you never know. Like, I mean, we talked about this last week. We never thought about COVID and the things that happened to us as a result of that. We never thought that would happen in a million years. And and God, I don't ever want us to be at war on our own soil. I don't want that. But what would you do? What could, just, it doesn't even have to be a war. It could be a cyber attack, for goodness sakes. I mean,
exactly.
We've had things happen where they've had cyber attacks and things have gone down. Websites are going down all the time. Like, what would you do? Do you have cash on hand? Do you have a way to get money? Do you have, your first priority obviously is going to be your family and making sure your family is safe. But after that, your finances, you don't want to come out on the other end of this with no money, no assets. You don't want to lose that part of your life either. So those are some things that bring to mind for me, just like, do I have a plan, an emergency plan, just general emergency? Like, if I can't get on the internet, I can't access money, what's my emergency plan?
So. Exactly. That's why we brought up this subject for today, business continuity. What, it's like big words for preparing for the worst.
Yes.
And also it doesn't have to be as extreme as war. But what if the utility goes out?
Yes.
And just so that people understand, we're not trying to, this is not something that will go over your head. Everyone went to school.
Right.
And remember being in school? Remember fire drills? That was business continuity planning.
Yes.
We were part of it. Because that was part of what you had, what you had to do. We all knew there wasn't a fire, but we had a plan like as if there was, so that we would know what to do in the case that would happen. So we had to act as if there was, meaning we all had to get our belongings. I'll never forget teachers were walking out with their purses. Like, I don't care if it's a drill.
Right.
I'll never forget I'm watching the teachers get their purses. Like, I don't care if it's a drill or not. And I've never forgotten that. But I think it was, I don't know, it was Mrs. Benner. I forget. She went right through her desk. Like, I'm getting my purse. I don't know about y'all. I don't care if it's a drill. I don't know why that's what I remember, but that's what I remember.
Right.
But you have to plan for these things. You know, you don't want to have something happen and then you're like, oh, what do we do in this case like this? You want to say, what do we do in a case like this before it happens? You know, now the last time that I was involved in like a corporate continuity plan, it was a large 3-ring binder that had all these different tabs and different things like that. It doesn't have to be that extensive. It could be something as simple as 1 to 2 pages of your plans for each thing that you assess that could be an issue. You know, so think about about regular businesses. So if it's in your lawn care, then this is very timely.
Right.
This is getting ready to go up. It actually ain't getting ready. It is up.
It is up. Yeah.
Okay. So you may need to start to think, okay, I know what the price is today. I'm going to need more gas in 2 weeks. How do I handle this? So then you may have to think about, can I buy gas now and store it for later? Which sounds odd, you know, because for us, I know my dad used to always tell me, you need to drive around with a 5-gallon gas tank all the time. Do I? No, I do not. However, I remember him teaching me that because he's like, you never know. You could run out of gas and be anywhere. You know, that was before, there were gas stations everywhere and you could probably close at like 7.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't matter what time, you always get gas. So, but, and that's business continuity. That's planning for the worst. What are you going to do if gas gets to be up a certain dollar amount? Is your response going to be that we are going to have to go up on prices? You're going to have to reevaluate. Are you going to have to not just maybe go up on prices? You have to reroute your jobs. Maybe you have to make some phone calls to customers and say, okay, we're in your neighborhood on Wednesdays. We would like to change your day from Friday to Wednesday. And this keeps our costs from having to raise your price up. Those customers are going to go, okay.
Right.
Now, if they really want their Friday, say, I understand you want your Friday, but due to the price and costs of gas right now, we are going to have to raise your bill by a certain dollar amount. Have all of that already put into place so that when it happens, you can handle that. You already alluded to cyber attacks. Yeah. That's something. There's actually cyber attack insurance now. There's things there's insurance for that. Ransom attacks, those ransomware attacks, and then even things that are man-made like theft. What if someone steals for the company? Yeah. You know what? And you may think, well, that's no big deal. Well, it could be. It's according to what you're doing. Right. If a person steals and then steals like information and goes to the local newspaper and tells all your business, is that a good idea? And then as I was looking things up, because I was going off of what I remember of how to do this, something came up during my while researching this topic, and I was like, "Ooh, I never planned for this." And one is brand damage. Something happens to you, like you get canceled, right? Your brand gets canceled. How are you going to handle that? And I'm like, "Ooh, That is so true, because how many times have we seen these celebrities or companies handle things the wrong way? And you're like, what were they doing? Just thinking on the fly? Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have a plan for something like that. Okay.
Right.
You know, if you think about most large companies, they talk about what you can and can't say on social media, because what ends up happening, soon as someone says something on social media that isn't on brand for their employer, you normally hear later they got fired.
Yeah.
And so if that's going to be your policy, put that in place. Make sure everybody knows, you know?
Yeah. I wanted to go back to what you were saying about theft, and theft can happen in different ways. Like what my most common theft occurrences are when people buy things, they're delivered, and then they do a chargeback. Okay. So
the nerve, Nikki.
The nerve of them.
Oh, the nerve. These people and their audacity.
Yes. And how this could affect your business, depending on your business model, is so the company that processes my credit cards, whenever I get a chargeback, they immediately take back the money and they charge me a $15 fee. And until I can prove, I know, right? Until I can prove that the product was actually delivered and whatnot. So, and it's a, let me think, like 60-day process for all this to happen. And so let's say you're a small business and you run on a tight budget, right? You get a couple of chargebacks that could rack up to, a couple $100, a couple $1,000, depending on your oh goodness, I can't think. Depending on how much money you make usually, right? There's another word for that. I can't think of it. But that could really so okay, personal experience is what happened to me. Chargeback, okay? So I have a business account, and my sales go in my business account. Everything is linked to my business account. I get a bunch of chargebacks, and then my account goes negative, right? So I go, so it's not a thing that I can replace immediately, because like I said, it's like a 60-day process. So then I got to take my personal money to put into my business account so that I won't keep occurring fees, because then my bank, as soon as I go go negative, they charge me $37. So it starts to rack up. And if you could have one person, two people, three people hit you in one day with chargebacks and stuff, and then you could end up being like $1,000 in the hole, just like that. Yes. So what kind of plan is in place? Like business continuity planning like that, things like that happen, especially when people get desperate, during wars and pandemics and stuff like that. I definitely seen more fraudulent behavior for my business since the pandemic, because I get people are getting scared. People are getting desperate. It's been a boon for some people, but it's been very tough for others. And with a war going on, I mean, Russia's already known for like cyber attacks as it is anyway. So you can imagine during a time like this, people are going to get desperate. People are going to look for new ways to take money from people. And that's what happens. So what kind of plan do you have in place? How can you insulate yourself and your business so that somebody playing some games is not, I mean, the chargeback process, it protects us too, because if something happens, I can do a chargeback as well. Right. But what happens when you're the store?
You're the store,
right?
It don't feel as nice, because we're not Walmart.
Right, exactly.
Walmart can handle a couple. I'm sure they get a couple thousand. Right. I'm sure they get several thousand chargebacks a day. Yeah. However, it's funny you say that, because I actually do have my own process, and I never even wrote this down. It was it's just more of my thought process, I have a savings account that is linked to my business. I put money in there every month, and I'm talking like it's minimal. I'm talking like a $20-$30, sometimes $50.
Yeah,
that account just sits there.
Yeah,
and it just sits there just in case. And I had to recently pull money out to make sure I wasn't negative anymore in my business account, because I didn't have a chargeback issue. The issue I had was I made a purchase, and you know how things hold on your bank account, and then the hold fell off. So in my mind, I made the mistake and looked at my available balance and said, okay, I have enough to pay for this inventory. Let me go do that. Yeah. Well, and then I had another issue with eBay where they started sending money on the weekends. Okay. So essentially every day that your balance is available, they send it in the morning. At least that's what they do for me. Okay. And then normally I get it the next day. Well, I had sales that occurred on like Friday. Okay. Well, I wasn't shipping until like Sunday night. But because I wasn't shipping until Sunday night, but the money became available during that weekend. Oh no, I lied. I wasn't shipping until Monday night. It was a holiday. That's why. That's what hit me. And so it was Monday night. Here I am doing my shipping because I'm like, no one's picking it up anyway. Right. Well, it's not going to be. It won't matter if you get that tracking number Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday, because it's a holiday. It's not going to move. So and I did it within my time frames. So, but because eBay sends out the money, though I don't see it yet, there was nothing available. Right. So they decided to pull it out of my bank account. Not a big deal because that's what they do. But because I had all of these things occurring, they pulled it out of my bank account. I had I think 10 shipments. They didn't pull it out in one large sum. They pulled out each shipment. So it was only maybe 2 shipments that became an issue. So that gave me 2 charges. Overdraft. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, hold up. Right. wait a minute. I know. I hate that. Yes. And so here I am. I said, all right, this is what this money was here for. Because that money was actually really there to cover, chargebacks. That's why I have my rule of thumb. And this is my rule. You may want to, others that are listening may want to adopt this too. I don't sell anything higher than $50. Right. Now, and I say I don't sell anything higher than $50. There's a few outliers where that may happen, where according to what comes in, if that is the value of it. But I tend to not sell more than $50. And my reason is I don't want to sell more than $50 worth of product, because if something happens with the refund, I got a $50 reserve. Right. I know I got that. However, I don't know if I got a $2,000 and $3,000 reserve all the time. Right. Because this is real business. Not everyone has that. I don't have corporate behind me. Right. So I may not be able to eat that. Right. Well, yeah, I had to learn that the hard way myself. When I first started out, I was putting all kinds of items in my store, and I had put a t-shirt made by a major fashion designer, and the t-shirt was about $300. Okay. And somebody bought it, and I was like, whoopee, somebody bought the $300 t-shirt. Yeah. And so what happened is, you always got to know your timelines, right? So when somebody buys something on my Shopify, it takes a day. Sometimes it could take 2 to 3 days before their money becomes available to me. So I always give myself shipping allowance, because I'm not going to ship something until I have the cash for it. Done that before, and then they canceled the order. And now, you know what I mean? So with the $300 thing, I was like, okay, I'm going to wait until I have the money. Right. And then
So the money comes in, I purchase the item, I have it shipped to the person. I'd say about 7 days later, I get an email that they didn't want the item anymore. Now, by that time, it should have arrived, So the issue was, though, that I had just gotten the money, and I think I spent it to purchase the item, or spent part of it to purchase the item because I marked it up, and then they want their money back. So, and I, $200 to $300, like when you're just starting out and stuff, like I'm not sitting on that to refund, and then I have to wait for the item. And this is when I was first figuring out my processes, and I kind of had an eBay mindset initially, because on eBay it's like the customer rules. Basically, it's like if they want their money back, you got to give them their money back. eBay is just taking money from you and stuff like that. So I'm sitting there freaking out because they want their money back. I don't have the $300 to give them back. I don't have the product. I was like,
you're out of everything.
I'm out of everything. And I'm like, how am I going to handle this? So, and then that's when you learn. You're like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do the next time. But yeah, it is not a nice feeling, because as honest sellers like ourselves, we're not in this to gyp anybody. I don't want to take anybody's money that doesn't want to give me their money. You know what I mean? Like, I want to sell a good product, something that people like, and I don't want any problems. But I learned very quickly from eBay and also from Shopify that there are a lot of nefarious people out there who really want something for nothing, and they don't mind using you to do that. So it's a lesson that you have to learn, and you have to be very concise and concrete about how you're going to do business with people. And because if people feel like they can get over on you, then they're going to do it again. I've had people who've changed when I was doing eBay, I know I was dealing with the same person because I believe it was the same address. They'd like change their name and stuff. And people that I had not wanted to do business with, and they had changed their name because they got over on me once. So they figured they could get over on me again. And at that time, I was doing such a rate of business, I didn't even notice until the problem came. And then I said, didn't I ship to this person? Like, because sometimes I have, not really like a photographic memory, but sometimes you remember.
You recall the problems.
Right. You recall a problem, and you recall like who you shipped to and certain names and stuff. And that was the thing. It wasn't a problem until they made it a problem. And then I was looking at their name and their address, and I was like, I know I shipped to this person before, and it was a problem before. So there are people out there that that's their game. Their game is the come up. Their game is the grift. And if they're gonna target your business, they're gonna target your business.
Yeah, I kind of wish eBay would allow you to not just block usernames, but also block IP addresses.
Yes, yep.
I can do that on my store, on my website. On my website, because I actually sell liquidations on my website, so I do sell stuff more than $50 that way. However, I find that I have never had a problem with dealing with anyone on my liquidation store, because we're all in it for business. And I feel like I price my stuff so low that people are like, wow, I can't believe it's that low, when they actually get the stuff that I shipped out to them. I've never had any problems with that. And I do sell that stuff for more than $50, obviously. But it's always the stuff that's $10, $15 that give you all the problems, And just like, I actually recently had a refund that I gave someone, and they gave me such the hardest time. And I was just trying to refund them.
Right. Yep.
Because it was a topical product. It was a beauty product. So it's topical. I think it was like cream or whatever. I can't resell that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm an ethical seller. So if you're unhappy with the scent, at this point, I don't even care.
Right.
You got over me once, and then the way I do, I will block you, but I don't block you right away. Yeah. I block you like a day or two later. And that's what I did with this person. but because we already had conversations through the last transaction, they were able to contact me, and they were like, "Oh, I was trying to buy from you again, and it's not letting me." I didn't even respond.
Right. I love that. Yeah, it's not letting you because you're a problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you figure that one out.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things in your business. And you know what, Nikki? Just like business continuity is very important to your business, also is your business credit. And nav.com is a website where you can check on your business credit. If you don't have business credit, it will help you with obtaining business credit. It helps you with steps on things that you should do so that you can get a business credit profile. And if you're not to that point where you're like, oh, business credit, I need to have a business first. Well, nav.com has that set up for you too. nav.com, there is a link in our description box below. Or if you're listening to us, it's in our description box for the podcast. And we do ask that you support our sponsors, because without our sponsors, we wouldn't be here.
That's true.
But you know, when you're dealing with business continuity, now you figured out, okay, I know what I need to plan for. Then you're like, okay, what's next? So, you know, what's next is you have to take out policies and procedures. What are the instructions? You know, one that could be easy enough. If there is a power outage, well, if there's a power outage, more than likely, people aren't going to be able to come to your facility to work. Maybe you have a phone bank and you put together what a phone bank would look like, or there is a phone number that all the employees have to call to let them know, hey, there's a message update about power outage. If you think about like inclement weather, you know, like anytime I remember we used to have our outage line at one of the banks I used to work at, and I would see a little speck of snow. Like, let me call that number. Let me see if I've been late today. Then there would be no messages.
Right.
You know? But you should have something like that in place and make sure that it's well known.
Yes.
Make sure that everyone is aware of it, you know, and the way that you do that is, you know, you normally deal that through your management, you know, managers, you know, you should have this in place. Like I think about like with my husband, with his job, whenever there is like inclement weather coming up, there's one or two people that they are kind of assigned to check on what the weather is going to be. And they send something out that says, this weekend, it looks like it's going to be this. This weekend, we might get this much snow in this area. There's tornado warnings, hurricane warnings. Because of them looking at what is possibly going to happen with the weather, then there are directives that are given out to people like my husband, like, okay, before you go home, gas up the truck. Make sure you have at least 3 or 4 generators on the truck. And those are things that are already placed. Now, I can't tell you how many times that he's gotten like a weather notice for the weekend or whatever, and nothing happened to that extent. But it's just because it was in the forecast, they have to prepare.
Right.
And I always err on, it's better to be prepared than unprepared.
Right.
You know? So those are just ways that a business can look out for themselves. And it, like I said, it doesn't have to be war or like a natural disaster. You know, it could just be something as simple as the weather. How are you guys going to handle that? How do you handle if the power goes out? How do you handle if your network goes out? You know, your CRM system. How do you handle that? You know, I remember working in a call center, and I remember we used to have these forms. We called them downtime forms. I hated these forms. However, they worked. Whenever the system would go down, which happened often, so the system would go down, and we would have to let the customer know at the time our system is currently updating. It's not available, but not to inconvenience you. if I could have your name, phone number, and your information. Once the system is back up, someone will give you a call.
Right.
Some people cared and said, fine, I don't have time, blah, 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 blah. Here's my other people say, all right, I'll just call back.
Right.
Whatever. And then you have a plan. When the system comes back up, who gets assigned to call all these people back? I personally used to love doing that. because even though sometimes you get nasty customers, but I used to love being that person assigned to do that because it meant that I wasn't getting hit with all the phone calls. Y'all system back up.
Right.
I was able to check and go, okay, they did that. So I can call and say, hi, Mr. Mrs. So-and-so. I'm calling from such and such bank. And you called earlier today and our systems were unavailable. Just wanted to let you know they are available. And the question that you had about your account is blah, 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 blah. And the answer, blah, 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 blah. Anything else I can help you with today? All right. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day. Go on to the next one. You know, you kind of get a sense to breathe, but have those things in place. You know, you never know how doing that helps a customer. I'll actually never forget this. This is actually about 5-6 years ago. I was working in a bank call center, and one of the branches, they had a system issue. I don't know if it wasn't like a power outage, but it was just their system at that branch. And so every customer they had to do downtime procedures, of course. And this one customer, I'll never forget, he had his car insurance that was going to be coming out like the next day. Didn't have enough money in his account. So he went to the branch to put, I think it was like $5 or $6.
Yeah.
And he wanted to put that in his bank account because he's like, look, I know this is hitting, and he's being responsible.
Right.
So, and there was like a day or two delay with this.
Yeah.
So because of that, and he said that, sure enough, the next day, I saw the State Farm came. I'll never say, I remember it was State Farm. I force paid it. And I did contact the branch and say, hey, do you guys have on your forms this $6 deposit? And they're like, yeah, it's just not credited yet. I'm like, okay, I'm going to force pay this check for them so their car insurance don't have a problem. Y'all need to post this because I had to go to my managers and make like an exception.
Right.
But so it was like a 3-4 day process. And I remember I called the customer and I said, just want to let you know, your deposit finally posted and State Farm has been paid. And I remember the guy was like, you really called me back about $6?
Right.
I was like, yes, it's your money.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was literally thinking that I was just going to have to kind of eat that. And it was just going to be a problem and I was going to deal with it later.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's not how we operate, talking for the company. And I said, your $6 is important to you. So it's important to me. And I said, just want to make sure that your insurance got paid. I said, that's important. I said, the last thing you need is to say, oh, I went to the bank, put in $6 and my insurance payment came through and it bounced.
Yes. Yeah.
I
wish my bank did that.
Right?
My business account, because they didn't care.
Yeah, business accounts, they like fee.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I remember him saying that he was so impressed.
Yeah.
And I tell that story because it was something that happened in a downtime, but because of the process that was in place, that I was able to keep up with the customer and their account to make sure everything went okay. I saved that person from probably ever leaving that bank, and I don't even work there no more.
Right. Yeah.
Just off of that, because now and honestly, this is where, like customer service and word of mouth comes into place. Someone could be saying something bad about that bank in regular settings, like, oh, this bank, this bank, that. You know what they're going to say? I don't know about the problem you had, but I had an issue with $6 one time. I went to the branch and something was wrong. The system was down and I called on the phone. I talked to some lady and she made sure.
Took care of it. Yeah.
Right. She made sure that insurance got paid. I didn't have any problems. And she called and followed up with me over $6.
Yeah.
You just had the wrong person. That is the best commercial any business can ever have.
Yes.
So it's not just about, how are we going to make money with being part of business, doing a business continuity plan. It's all about how do we keep our customers happy and flowing through.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to add, like when I used to clean Airbnbs, we're talking about planning for the worst. It's always good to have processes outlined, even for your most common task, because you never know when you're going to need to rely on the process because you don't have, either you're not there to make sure it was done, or, you forgot. I had a situation where I was cleaning, and like I had a process of how I would clean the unit. And I'd start here. It was to make sure that I touched everything and that I seen everything, and that everything that needed to be opened and cleaned got opened and cleaned. So when I hired someone, I went through my process with her, so she would have the same layout. What happened was, though, I get a call after she cleaned. I get a call that there was food left in the refrigerator. Now, 9 times out of 10, most people throw their food away, but there's the occasional person who doesn't. And if you don't go through the order of operations with it, then you won't check the refrigerator. If you're just like cleaning, like without any type of a plan. Right. And I think that's what my employee had done. She didn't, because they actually took pictures and sent it to me. Gosh. Nicole, what's this? And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry about that. And it's so hard because you're like, I know I would have cleaned it, but you got to take the loss because it was your employee and they're not following your processes. Your processes should always have a purpose. And they should always have something that it's trying to head off. If you have a good process in place, then you don't have to worry. Now, like, let's say it had been me and they said there's food in the refrigerator. I would have known there was no food in the refrigerator because I wouldn't have left food, because I know I did my process each time, I mean, and there was a situation where somebody had said that they left something, and I went through the process when I cleaned and there was nothing left there. So I don't know what they were talking about, but I was able to speak with confidence to my client and say, yeah, I didn't see anything left there. So, and I knew with confidence because I had a process for how to clean and it touched all areas, which means that if they'd have left it, I'd have saw it, But that's the importance of it. So particularly I noticed with people who are just starting their businesses, they don't put a lot into that aspect of it, of the processes, but they're there to protect you. You can get like when I develop things, I go off of my corporate experience or my experience with large companies, like, because specifically, like if you're doing like food service or something, you do not want to get anybody sick. You don't want people finding things in their food. You know what I mean? So following processes is very important when you're dealing with things like food and stuff like that. Anything where people's, bodily fluids and stuff like that, you always want to have a process for that, because you don't want anybody to get sick, because that's going to be the worst publicity, word of mouth you will ever have to deal with if somebody gets sick on your watch. And that goes for cleaning, that goes for food, that goes for beauty products too. Like so think about your processes and set them up to protect. Think about the areas that are most vulnerable, depending on your business model, because that's going to be different for everybody. Like, I mean, I just laid out a couple of mine, which was making sure that I touched each area. My son is over here. Making sure I touched each area, because when you go stay someplace, the last thing you want to look at is somebody's leftovers in the refrigerator, or somebody's, presents in the toilet, or whatever. That's the last thing when you get home or get to your desk, your room after driving or getting on an airplane, and you come in and, you want to take a shower, and then there's hair all in the shower and stuff like that. So those are the areas where you're most vulnerable. Those are the things where people are going to complain, because they expect there's certain things that they expect a clean shower, they expect a clean refrigerator, all those different things.
And they should. They should receive, they should receive that, because it makes you think about, okay, if there was food left in the refrigerator, is my bed clean?
Yep, exactly.
And and honestly, they could have done everything.
Yep.
And except for that one thing.
Yep.
But because they didn't follow the policies and procedures that were laid out for them, it makes you question everything else.
That's right. Yep. You're like, oh, there's food in the refrigerator. Did she even clean? Is the toilet clean?
Right. And that's the last thing, especially, I haven't, I was supposed to be in Airbnb couple months ago, but because thanks to COVID, I missed my girls' trip. But from the pictures that I saw, this place was immaculate. But if I go into an Airbnb, I don't expect it to be crisp. Like, I don't expect it to be like the most posh place. I expect though to have everything cleaned. That would be like a touch space. Places where people congregate. I expect the bed to be clean, or at least the sheets, I should say. Those type of things. Am I going to get you for a little speck of hair behind the door in the bathroom? No.
Right.
However, there are people that will.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I know, because I used to have them as my clients. I had one client that would take the trash liners and put Post-it notes at the bottom of them just to see if we were taking the trash liners out.
Oh, what fun.
Well, and it's funny because they said something to me and I said, that explains what's happening. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, it seems like there's Post-it notes all in our trash that are just empty. And I said, they're like all attached. And I said, I just kind of figured that was the culture, that everyone just uses Post-it notes. And he was like, no, that's my way to test to make sure you're actually taking the liners out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I forget the way that account was set up. They wanted extra stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, if you want extra stuff, you're going to have to pay for it, because on our contract, it was that we would change liners of employees' trash bins once a week, which was normally on Friday.
Yeah.
Or if they had food.
Okay.
And we always changed the trash bag of like the employee lounge area. Right. That was in the bathrooms, of course.
Right.
But when it came to all of like, the cubicles and stuff, we just dumped the trash. And they got like a new facility person, and they had to me. They're like, we don't know why you don't change the trash all the time. Like, what are you talking about? And they were like, well, we feel that you should take the trash liners out of everyone's trash. And I said, no, that's not a problem. I said, that's when you change your contract. And not only will it change your contract, do you have the funds to cover how much that is? Because that's the reason why that's standard in the business, is that you do it once, because those things aren't cheap.
No, they're not cheap.
In my contract with them, I don't buy them.
Yeah.
Because if you want them as part of your contract, we're gonna have to do a new contract. It's gonna go up.
Yeah.
And so
not only that, I mean, environmentally, it's like, if the trash liner doesn't need to be changed, I mean, why fill the landfill, people?
Right. And if there was gum, I would take them out.
Right, exactly. Within reason. Right. Yeah.
I believe the way our contract read was, if it was soiled, then we would take it out. I think one time I saw like a person had a pen bleed or whatever. I was like, yeah, you take that out. You know? And I even did extra things because that's just what I believed in, especially when it came to like their employee trash and like the lounge or whatever. I would once a week wipe out the trash bin before I changed the line. I do it every day, because doing that every day is a little too much. But I didn't do it every day, but I noticed doing it on Friday worked out. because, most people get paid on Friday. That's most people are going out to eat on their lunch break. So you have more trash on Fridays. Then you have the little parties that they do, all that little potlucks or whatever. So the trash is normally the worst on Friday. So those are just things that I used to do, just in my regular procedures. But, even with working for cleaning, I even had to have continuity plans and even ask to say, if you guys don't come into the office, how will I know?
Right.
Because I forget what it was. I think it was a holiday, but it wasn't like one of those big holidays. It wasn't like the 4th. And I remember coming in and I was like, this isn't really dirty.
Right. Was anybody even here? I've had those days too. I have had those days.
And so I'm on camera. So I'm like, let me go through my motions. I'm going checking all the trash. And I'm like, ain't nothing here. Clean the bathrooms. And I'm like, so I had to reach out to the facilities person and say, because it wasn't in our contract that they were closed that day.
Right.
So I had to reach out to the facilities person and say, we need to set up something so that I know not to either send someone or not to be there on certain days, even if it's a holiday or inclement weather, what have you. And then I even said, if you want us to clean when it's inclement weather, you have to understand we're going to come in early.
Right.
We're not going to get there at 6:30 and stay to 9 when in the middle of a snowstorm. Now we showing up at 2.
Right.
I leave at 5 like the rest of y'all.
Right. Yep.
And that is part of continuity planning, especially, if you have inclement weather, know that that the storm is coming. You can call and say, look, I don't know if you've seen the forecast, but our cleaners come in at 6:30. I'm going to send a crew there at 2:00 if that's okay. And we will do light cleaning.
Yeah.
Meaning we won't run the vacuum cleaner. We will make sure the bathrooms are cleaned. We will make sure the trash is taken out. And we won't disturb anyone that's working. Most places are going to say, nasty places will say no.
We'll see you Monday.
Well, when that contract comes back up around, that's when you get them.
Yes.
But these are just, things to think about in your business. You may think and say, oh, it's just me, or my business is not that important, or I don't have that many things threat assessments that I need to worry about. But you really need to think about that.
Yeah.
You may think, oh, I'm just a handyman. Really? Just a handyman? Do you know what could go wrong being a handyman? What is needed? Lots of things.
Yes, there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
You might be a person that deals with lawn care. You have to think about these type of things. What is your plan? What if there's a natural disaster? Do you have something in your contract that says, look, we ain't going to come out there and cut your grass if there's a tornado coming?
Right. Yes. And what you also need to take into consideration when you are deciding on your business insurance, your E&O, what is it? Because some are pretty very vague plans, but make it custom to what's going to affect you. Because if you're in a business, let me see, I'm trying to think of a good example. But let's say you're in a business, but your insurance is not high enough to cover, like, let's go with cleaning again. You go clean something and, something happens and you end up bleaching the carpet or whatever.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Like, what's in place? Like, that's definitely going to be an insurance situation, but you got to make sure that your policy is going to cover that. It's going to, because sometimes you got to read the policy, you got to read the fine print. If you do certain things, null your policy. So you want to make sure your plan and your processes match up with your insurance so that you're protected, because who wants to come up with $2,000 to replace, and your insurance won't cover it, right? To replace a business's carpet, right? because that's what you're going to end up looking at is
right, because you had a mop full of bleach and you walked around with it.
Right, exactly. So
just as a help for anyone in this business, do not mop with bleach on the floor.
Right. Yes, please don't. No.
If you're like, oh, but I need it to be disinfected, you use neutral cleaner that has disinfected in it. Okay, that's a little helpful tidbit.
Yes. So you don't bleach any carpet.
You're like neutral cleaner. Yes, you get it right at Lowe's, Home Depot, or commercial cleaning supply stores.
Yes.
In fact, I even use neutral cleaner in people's homes.
Yeah.
Because although some people they want to smell the bleach.
Yes, some people do. Yes.
But it's so concentrated, so you make it, you get your money's worth out of it. 1 gallon bottle is you can live off of that for a while. Yeah. And plus it has disinfectant in it, so you're fine with disinfecting it. And the thing that's nice, everything that you mop, you can just use one. You have that one mop, what I mean? You don't have to worry about you need this type of water, that type of water. That's just a little tidbit for those who have a cleaning business. We're gonna give y'all from our experience. Don't clean with bleach. Don't clean with bleach. Yeah. Because all it takes is that one, especially if you're cleaning these McMansions and they have plush carpeting, you have some things that you can use to save. You can have carpet markers and stuff like that, but they probably have some specialty color that ain't made no more. And,
right.
You don't want to go through all of that.
Yeah.
But see, that's another thing with your plan. So we're sitting here talking about cleaning with bleach and what could happen. Right. Now that you went through that assessment, you're like, maybe we shouldn't clean with bleach. Maybe now we use neutral cleaner.
Right.
That will keep that from happening.
Yep. Yeah. And those are all things to think about. The worst case scenario, just like it says, how to plan for the worst. What's the worst thing that could happen if you go into someone's home, if you're selling online, any of these things? What's the worst thing could happen, and how much do you want to be liable for? Personally, I don't want to be liable for anything. So, I want either my insurance to cover it, or I want to figure out some way around it, because you never know. Some days, your business might be booming and you've got money out the wazoo, and if something happens, you can just pay for it. That's not when the bad stuff happens.
No,
bad stuff happens
when your account is overdraft.
Right, your account is overdraft. Your car's in the shop. Your hot water heater at home just blew up, and all this. That is when the crap at your business is going to start to.
Yes, honey, you said it. That's exactly.
And that's when you're going to need your safety net, either your savings account, your insurance, your rainy day fund. That's when all that stuff's going to get needed, because that's when stuff usually happens. Never when it's like, oh yes, I can pay. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I bleach your carpet? Yeah, I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. No. That's not when it happens. It happens when you're broke.
Exactly. Because we're speaking real. Most businesses, most small business owners, they're not bringing in $1 million on one business.
Oh, right.
Let's be real about that. Would it be nice? Yes. Yes. I can say I am not a millionaire. I'm on my way though.
That's right.
Okay. I'll tell you, the way these taxes are hitting, I feel like I am.
Right.
That's a whole nother show to talk about this tax code. Okay. And how you feel like you're being punished for being successful, but that's a whole nother show. Anyway. But most small businesses, one bad thing happens and that could be the end of their business.
That could be the end of the business. Yep.
And like you were talking about with insurance policies, just another note, just from being in the different businesses. I have several. I had a cleaning business, but I also had the property preservation business, which is taking care of properties that have been foreclosed upon. So, and that's taking care of them outside and inside. So we did maid service, and you also take care of, lawn care, and sometimes you do handyman work, things like that. You want to make sure, one thing I learned in that business, you have to make sure that your insurance falls in line with what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just call your car insurance company and say, I need insurance because I started this business. Okay, sure, we'll get you a liability plan.
Yeah.
You know, they might start talking about, oh, you get this, you get that. And then when something happens, they're like, you don't got that type of coverage. You're like, but
right.
Yes. It's essential for my business.
Mm-hmm.
So you might need to seek out insurance companies that are specifically for your business, for your industry. And that was what I had to do with the property preservation business. I couldn't call my car insurance to get property preservation liability insurance. Some wouldn't do it because it's too much of a liability.
Right.
Because you're kind of sort of looked at as like a contractor.
Right.
So those are adding my little tidbits today. Or, you know, if you're in any of these type of businesses, or just to kind of think about what business that you're in, think about what could go wrong. Not because we want to be negative, it's because we want to be real.
Right. It's real. It's real. I mean, you know, for as much as you plan and prepare, and even with good intentions, I mean, just like the girl leaving the food in the refrigerator. Now, I mean, technically, it's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to kill anybody. And, you know, but she did it, but I'm the one who has to be responsible for it. So sometimes even my best intentions, right? It doesn't matter, especially the bigger your business gets, the more you're going to start interacting with others. You're going to start having to contract with other people. So how do you be responsible for people doing work and it's not you? I mean, so that's, you know, that could be a wrench in the plan right there if you don't and everybody makes mistakes, you know what I mean? But specifically when you're not directly involved in the out product, then what are you going to do? You have to rely on your plans, your processes, and your backups. Because, you know, if I hire somebody, if I'm doing some sort of event planning or what have you, right? And I hire a photographer or a DJ or you know, someone to do some work for me that I'm not going to do because that's not my training. I'm not called, you know what I mean? That's not my area of expertise.
That's not your calling.
Right. And then the photographer goes, they take pictures and the pictures turn out like crap. Then what am I going to do? Right. So I had the best intentions. I have policies in place and stuff, but it wasn't my work, but it was somebody I contracted with. So you're always, and I mean, you may be in situations like that where it's not you doing the bad work, but it's somebody that you hired or somebody that you referred or somebody that you are in some sort of financial connection with. So what do you do then? You know what I mean? You can be the best event planner, but you just need one contractor to screw things up for you. And then that's your name. Oh, I used Nicole's event planning and my event turned out horrible. Not because Nicole was horrible, but because Nicole's contractors were.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But that's how you have to think about it. Sometimes you're not the direct cause of a problem.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I'm trying to think of the right way that I've said this in the past, but no one else is going to be for your business the same way you are. You know, you're not going to, the way that you have no problem staying up late at night to take care of your business, going to this class to take care of your business, working on something or staying later to make sure a customer is happy. No one else is going to do that.
Right.
So you have to plan for when it's not you. Normally it ain't going to be you.
Yeah. And actually that you want that eventually, because that means that you're successful, that you've got so much going on that you can't do it all and you have to outsource it to someone else, or that you're becoming more connected and you need to work with other people in order to get things done. So that's a good thing, but specifically it's a good thing. It's bittersweet, because if it doesn't go right, what do you have in place? How do you protect yourself? You know, and even going back to insurance, you know, some insurance plans, they won't cover certain things if you have contractors working on things, or if you have, you know, on certain types of equipment, or if, you know, or there's training requirements, or, I mean, there's all kinds of things. And this is where if you're in that in-between area in your business where you're going from being like a solopreneur, a sole proprietor, a one-person show, to you're starting to work with other people, this is where you need to get educated about how that's going to affect your end product.
Yes. And that, I would say, when you're to that point where you're hiring people, you better have yourself a real entity. That's just another little tidbit.
Right. Yeah. Nap.com.
Exactly. Right. Get our sponsor is free. Nap.com.
That's right. Yes.
All this, just dropping all these jewels today. Wow, this has been a long, fun-filled show.
Yeah.
So today, we talked about, what's happening in Russia and Ukraine and how that is, affecting the world. The shipping has basically stopped over there. So, for me, I'm not going to have any sales over there. I'm not going to lie. I didn't get many over there in the first place.
I was going to say, I got too many sales.
I get more in the UK. More in the UK. However, I get UK and Germany. And actually, I think we get a lot of we have some German listeners as well that like to listen to us. So, so that's that, and really it's the importance of planning for when something goes wrong, not because you want to be negative, it's just that you want to be prepared. And that's what we're talking about today. So we hope that you were able to take a listen and really hear some of the things that we talked about, take those things and implement them to your business. Of course, we gave our suggestions and our examples for businesses that we have worked in or that we are working in currently, but take that information and apply it to what you do every day. Right. And then you'll be prepared when something happens. So, all right. Do you have anything else to add, Nikki?
No, I think that does it. I think that those are all good points, good things to remember.
All right. And how can everyone reach you?
I'm on Twitter at Home with Nicole, And I have been reposting from my other podcast that I do by myself, my motivational Live, Love, Lux. So I'm on Facebook and I'm getting ready to ramp up. Springtime is my time of year. So I'm getting ready to ramp up my content. If you're looking for that type of content, you need some motivation, how to manifest your reality. I'm on Facebook too, Live, Love, Lux there as well. So,
all right. And I am Resellqueen, ReSellQueen, Resellqueen.com. We have some reseller kits that are on sale. I'm doing free shipping in the continental United States.
Awesome. Okay.
It's what part of what I'm doing with the move. I'm like, I have a lot of inventory and I'm like, you know what, this stuff, it'll make money for people. Let me just ship. I'm not even really, I don't think I'm really making any real money off of it. I'm just getting rid of it, Yeah. So, I have reseller kits that are for sale. Also have a solo project of Resellqueen Chronicles, where we talk about everything reselling, third-party platforms, and all that good stuff. And I can be followed on the Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and the Twitters. And I'm even on TikTok. So, if you want to reach out to me, you can always reach out to me at info@resellqueen.com. If you want to reach out to both of us, feel free to contact us at Entrepremommies@gmail.com. We will love to answer your questions. If you want to be featured on the show, reach out to us at Entrepremommies.com. If you would like to talk to us about advertising on the show to be one of our sponsors, we will gladly talk to you. And you can reach out to us at Entrepremommies@gmail.com. So this has been Entrepremommies, and we are the moms that handle business.
Yes.
Bye.
See you next week.
Entreprenommies, we share from experience. Moms talk about things